Hello everyone, nice to see you on our webinar. My name is Oleg and today we're going to talk about Google Analytics API and what task you can solve with the help of Google Analytics API. During the webinar, you can share your questions in our online chat and my colleagues will try to respond to you as soon as possible. Webinar will be accessible offline, so if someone has no chance to join us now, they can watch webinar offline. Also, I want to say that after this webinar, we will share necessary materials, including presentations for this webinar, and you can learn more about Google Analytics API. So let me share my screen and we will start. So let me say a few words about OWOX. We are helped to implement Google Analytics 360 for big projects. More than 2 million transactions are generated weekly on our clients' websites. Also, we're developing unique online services based on Google Analytics, Google BigQuery. Our products are trusted by more than 50,000 projects. And all our services totally based on Google Cloud products. We are not an agency and we don't sell ads. So our main goal is to help our clients make timely data-informed decisions. And here you can see the logos of some our clients. If you want to learn more about with what clients we work, you can go to our website and see them. Today's agenda. Firstly, we will talk about what is API and what are they for. Then we're going to talk about what types of Google Analytics API are there and what purpose they serve. Then we're going to talk about how to request Google Analytics data with the help of core reporting API to create 2 or more reports simultaneously. What advanced capabilities can be used for visualizing Google Analytics data in Google Sheets, how to schedule automatic updates of your reports in Google Sheets with the update frequency you need, and how to leverage Google Analytics data using the APIs, actual use cases and success stories from OWOX. So firstly, let's talk about what is API and what are they for. API or application programming interface, it is a set of routines, protocols and tools for building software applications. API specify how software components should interact. With the help of API, developers don't need to create their own code or their own function, but they can use some libraries that do a specific function for them. So it helps them to do their work more quickly. And now let's talk what types of Google Analytics API exist. Google Analytics divide their API on 2 global categories. First category is API for ISV, the developing business apps. And second global category is APIs for users developing internal apps. And now let's look closer what API contain this category. First category is API for implementing tracking features for your users. It contains API for websites and web apps, such as GTag.js, Analytics JS and API for accelerated mobile pages. As you know, GTech.js Google team recently announced. So it's a new tool that you can use to track your users' behavior. Analytics.js, it's the most popular library for tracking users' behavior. It's the standard universal analytics code. And AMP API, it's also a recent update from Google Analytics team that helps you to track data from accelerated mobile page of your site. And then Google Analytics have APIs and libraries for mobile apps, but only for iOS and Android operating system. If you have apps on another operating system, you can use, for example, such a tool like measurement protocol, or you can also use this tool to track any information from internet connecting device. For example, if you have some offline stores with the cash machines and you want to send information from those machines to your Google Analytics account, you can easily create HTTP request and any information will be sent to Google Analytics. So it's very helpful tool for many companies. The next category of API helps you to access and manage user accounts. Here we have API for managing accounts and users. It calls Management API. And also we have Provisioning API that helps you to create new Google Analytics accounts without entering your Google Analytics interface. So you can create Google Analytics accounts programmatically. The next category of Google Analytics API is APIs for retrieving metadata and user behavioral data. It contains reporting API, the most popular API among Google Analytics users, real-time reporting API, multi-channel funnels API, embed API, and metadata API. Now let's look closer to each of these API. First API that we will talk about is Management API. Management API allows you programmatic access to the Google Analytics configuration data. Also, this tool helps you to build applications to more efficiently manage large or complex analytics accounts and provides you tools to navigate your accounts. As you understand, Management API helping big companies that have many Google Analytics accounts to manage this account, to manage user access for these accounts without entering Google Analytics interface. With the help of Management API, you can list all the account property and view information for a user. You can manage property view and goals. You can manage user permissions for an account hierarchy. You can retrieve a view ID to use with the core reporting API. You can determine which goals are active and access their configured configure names. And you can manage links between analytics properties and AdWords accounts, and also you can manage remarketing audiences. So now let's see some web tool that Google Analytics team provides their clients. Let's go to the Google Analytics demo and tools. Maybe you already know that Google Analytics have such a helpful tool to understand what advanced ability you have when you work with Google Analytics and Google Analytics APIs. Here we can see the tool named Account Explorer. You can see that you can choose Google Analytics account you need. For example, let's choose our demo site account. Here you specify what property you need and what view you want to manage. And you can see the basic information about this Google Analytics account. For example, account ID, property ID, view ID, and table ID that we use when working with a reporting API. Later, I will show you how you can use this information. So also you can navigate navigate your account. For example, you can type in the name of appropriate view, and you can see the list that match your search term on this within your accounts. So it's helpful when you have many Google Analytics accounts, properties, and views, you don't need to go to Google Analytics interface to manage these views. Also, you can see that at the end of this page, Google Analytics team shows us what type of API they used they used to build this web app. So you can go to this link and read more about each of API they used in this tool. So let's move on. And a few words about provisioning API. Provisioning API is only for qualified service providers and large partners. And with the help of this API, you can create new Google Analytics account and enable Google Analytics for your customers at scale. So you can create accounts programmatically. But this API now currently Google Analytics team currently not accepting new projects for this API, so you can't use it because it's closed. And if you have access to this API only this way, you can use it. The next API we will tell you about, it's Metadata API. Metadata API returns the list and attributes of dimensions and metrics exposed in the Google Analytics reporting APIs. You can see all list of dimensions and metrics that you can use, for example, in reporting API or in real-time reporting API. Attributes returned include user interface name, descriptions, segments, support, and more. You can use Metadata API to automatically discover new columns, to access all dimensions and metrics attributes for Google Analytics reporting APIs. And now let's see the example of tools that was developing with the help of Metadata API. Let's go to demos and tools page. So maybe some of them already know such a helpful tool as Dimensions and Metric Explorer. So let's click on it link. This tool helps you to see the list of all accessible metrics and dimensions that you can use in your reports when you want to export information from Google Analytics. If you expand some of this tab, some of this category, you can see that here is the name of Google Analytics dimensions and metrics that use core reporting API. When you click on some of these metrics, for example, you will see how this metric named in Google Analytics interface. So this is very useful tool. Also, what you can do with it, you can click on specific dimensions on the metric, and you see that some metrics and dimensions marked with the gray color. So if you see that these dimensions, these metrics are marked as gray, you must understand that in Google Analytics reports, you can't combine these two metrics and dimensions. So if the color of other metrics and dimensions remain blue, you can use it in your reports, combining each of these blue metrics. So it's also a very useful tool when you are starting to work with Google Analytics reporting API and want to build your custom reports. So also you can navigate this tool. You can type, you can start typing the name of a specific metric, and you will see the matches for this metric. Let's move on and let's talk a few words about Embed API. This tool not very popular within Google Analytics user, but we will tell you a few words about it. Embed API is a set of JavaScript libraries that allows you to easily create and embed a dashboard on a third-party website in a matter of minutes. It gives you a set of pluggable components that can work together to build complex tools, making it both simple and powerful at the same time. With the help of Embed API, for example, you can create a one-click Google Analytics sign-in button, so you don't need to handle authorization yourself. The second example that you can do with this API, you can build in a view selector, so you can easily compare data from multiple views at the same time. Also, you can integrate with Google Charts to give you the same visualization you see in the Google Analytics website. Also, you have full access to run your own queries, allowing you to use third-party visualization tools like D3.js or Chart.js or some other tools you want to work with. Embed API gives you the ability to build and package your own components, so you can easily reuse or share them with your colleagues. Let's see how it can be used for your purpose, for your goals. So also we go to domain tools inside, and here we have examples from Google Team that shows you how you can use Embed API. For example, on the basic dashboard tab, we have account property and view selector. So you should choose the view you want to work with. You see the basic information for this view that was added manually by developers on the code. So if you want to see on dashboard some other metrics, you can say to your developers to customize this code. After this example, you have the list of code snippet that Google Analytics team used to build this app. So you can customize it, you can use it as you wish, you can build some other dashboard on your site. By the way, I want to say that Embed API is very helpful for those companies that have in its own website, for its own internal website, where all colleagues can watch current information about basic KPI in your company. For example, every day you can see the dashboard with actual information about your users, about your page of your site. So it's useful for internal use. The next example is multiple views. So it means that you can see several dashboards from the different Google Analytics account on one page. So let's choose one account and appropriate view. So we can see interactive dashboard for this account, and then we can choose another account and see dashboard on one page from different Google Analytics account. It's also useful in some cases. Let's move forward. So here you can see the example of interactive charts. Let's see how it works. So we choose a specific account property and view, and here we can see information about how many sessions came from different browser. Then you can click on some specific browser and you will see a dashboard only for this row. So as I already told you, you can choose another dimensions and metrics to build dashboard like this. And here you have the code snippet that you can customize as you want. The next example will be working with custom components. So here you can choose some dimensions or metrics that you can change within this dashboard. So you can see that here I can change the dates, start and end dates. So it's also useful in some cases. The next example is using Embed API with the third-party visualization tools. In this example, Google provides us visualization from the chart.js. We choose a necessary Google Analytics account and view, and you see the visualization with the help of chart.js, our information from Google Analytics. So if you have another tools for visualization, you also can use it with the Google Analytics data. And the last example is server-side authorization. You also see some interactive dashboards with specific dimensions and metrics that you can customize by yourself as you want. Let's move on. The next API we will talking about is real-time reporting API. This API enables you to request real-time data, for example, real-time activity on your property for an authenticated user. This API now in limited beta, so if you want to use this API, you must send request to Google Analytics team, and after they give you access, you can use it for your goals. With the help of real-time reporting API, you can, for example, display active viewers of a page and create a sense of urgency for users looking at an item with finite inventory. You can display the most popular content, such as the top 10 active pages, and you can create and display a real-time dashboard and many other examples than you want to create on your site. So now let's see how it works on Google Analytics Demo and Tools website. For example, in third-party visualization, Google Analytics team also use real-time reporting API. If we choose our demo site, and now I will go to this site. So as you can see, now we have 0 active users. But if I am going to this site, this is our demo website. So you see that active users now 1, because I am on this site. So it's very helpful when you don't want to go to your Google Analytics account. You can create simple app that allows you to see some real-time data from your Google Analytics account. Let's move on. And now a few words about multi-channel funnels reporting API. This API enables you to request multi-channel funnels data for an authenticated user. Multi-channel funnels, if you don't know, multi-channel funnels reports show how your marketing channels work together to create sales and conversions. As you know, in Google Analytics interface, you have a specific section for these reports, and also you should know that you also can export data from Google Analytics about multi-channel funnels reports. With the help of this API, you can create custom reports using MCF data. For example, you could use the top conversion path data to report an attributes such as relative position of interactions in a conversion path. Also, you can integrate MCF data with your business data. For example, you could correlate online conversion data with offline sales data and media cost data to arrive at a more complete picture of marketing ROI. You can also display multi-channel funnels in new environments. For instance, you could create visualization and other representations of the data that communicate the value of different marketing channels in driving conversions. And you must know that the data in the MCF reports can be delayed 36 hours beyond the data shown in other Google Analytics reports. So when you're creating your custom reports, you should remember this information. This is important information. And now let's move on and talk about the most popular Google Analytics API among Google Analytics users. It calls reporting API. Google Analytics team said that this is the most advanced programmatic method to access report data in Google Analytics. With the help of this API, you can build custom dashboards to display Google Analytics data. You can automate complex reporting tasks to save time. You can integrate your Google Analytics data with other business applications. And many other tasks you can do with the help of this API. Here you can see also the advantages of Google Analytics API, such as metric expressions, multiple date range, cohort and lifetime value, multiple segments. And now I want to show you now I want to show you some useful tools. Some useful tools that use core reporting API. But before that, you should know that Google Analytics team recommends using the last version of reporting API, and the fourth version. API of third version has a much richer feature set, such as lifetime value, cohorts, and advanced segmentation reports. And also all new features that Google Analytics develop will use only API of fourth version. If you are using the core reporting API of third version in your application, you can easily migrate to API of third version to take advantage of its new features. And also you should understand that migrating from API old version to new version is easy because new version supports syntax for old syntax for segments and filters. And now let's talk about most popular tools that use reporting API. First tool, it's Query Explorer. And now I will show you how it works. And the second popular tool is Google Spreadsheets add-on. It's almost the same tool, but first tool you use on Demo and Tools website. And second tool you can use in Google Sheets, and it has more advantages when you use Google Analytics data. So, Query Explorer. I think most of you already know this tool. So let's see how it works. This is a simple tool to request Google Analytics data without entering Google Analytics interface. So you should choose account, property, and view you need. Then you can see ID for this view. You don't need to write it to type in this ID by yourself manually, because when you choose appropriate view, this field is changed. Then you have two fields with the dates. You can, for example, type how many days ago will start your report, for example, 5 days ago, or you can easily choose appropriate date from the calendar. So after you choose the dates, you must specify metrics and dimension that you want to see in your custom reports. When you click on this field, Google Analytics gives you the list of all accessible metrics. And also you can navigate these metrics. For example, I want to see the information about sessions, about users, and about bounce rate. So you can specify only metrics without dimensions, but if you want to divide this metric by some dimension, you can specify also a dimension. For example, let's take user type. Then you can sort this report by some metric you already choose. For example, users. Also, you can filter your custom reports with the help of some accessible filters. Here you can click on the hint right there, and you will see what syntaxes Google Analytics team use for filtering Google Analytics data. For metric filters, you can use this type of filters, and also you have the full description for these filters. And for dimensions, you have these filters and full description for them. So if you don't want to filter a custom report, you could remain this field empty. Here you can choose some segment that you have on your Google Analytics account. So if you want to segment your audience in some way, firstly you need to create a segment in Google Analytics interface, and then you can choose appropriate segment from the list below. For example, if you need session with the conversions or only direct traffic, you can specify this field segment. So here is one more important field, sampling level. If you know that you are a big company and you have a big amount of information, you should clarify the sampling level for your report, because if you don't do it, Google Analytics can samples information from your account. So here you can see what you can type on this field: default, faster, or higher precision. So if you are a small company and you know that you have not big amount of data, you can remain this field empty. And then you can specify from what include empty your report should include empty rows or not, and from what index you should start your report. And also max results of rows. For example, if you know that rows will be more than 1 million, but you need only first 100, you can specify that you need only 100 rows. Then you click Run Report, and here we can see the results of our query. So we have demo account with the demo site, so there is no enough data, but now you know how to use this tool. Also, you can share these reports with your colleagues. You only copy this link and give them, and they will open this tool with all appropriate metric, and only need to choose the account property and view they need. And also you can download the results of this report in TSV format and use this data in the third-party tools. So let's move forward. Let's move on. And now we're going to speak about spreadsheets add-on. It's also a useful tool for Google Analytics users. It helps you to query data from multiple views, create custom calculations from your report data, create dashboards with embedded data visualization, schedule reports to run automatically, and easily control who can see this data and visualization by leveraging Google Spreadsheet's existing sharing and privacy feature. So you can install this tool, this add-on in Chrome Web Store. Here you have the link in this presentation. If you already installed it, it's good. So let's see how you can work with this add-on. You create your Google Sheets document. If you already installed Google Analytics Spreadsheets add-on, you should go to Add-ons tab, click Google Analytics, and click Create New Report. And here we can see basic settings for this report. Firstly, you should specify the name of this report. Then you should specify Google Analytics account property and view that you want work with. And as you can see, this is field like in Query Explorer tool. So you should specify here the metrics you want to see in your report by type in these metrics, and if you need, you can specify dimensions. Then you click Create Report. Then you should manually specify the number of days that report will based on. You can specify last, for example, 10 or last 100 days, or you can specify date from the calendar, for example. Simply. Here you can see the metrics that you requested. You can also type it manually from the dimensions and metrics tools. We already talked about it recently. If you forgot what dimensions and metrics have a name for reporting API, you can go to dimensions and metrics Explorer and copy the name of appropriate metric from this list. Then you should specify if you need another fields that we already talked about. And after you specify all settings, you should go to Add-ons, Google Analytics, and click Run Report. We have some error. So if you have incorrect settings, Google Analytics show you what error you have. So if a report runs successfully, you will see the green color, and on another Google Sheet, you will see the data from your Google Analytics account. Then you can build dashboard, simply build dashboard based on this data. Google Analytics, Google Spreadsheets team provide some helpful type of dashboard. As you see, you can choose it from this list. And after that, you can, for example, create dashboard from 2 or more different accounts. If you want to combine Google Analytics data from different accounts, you can easily do it in Google Sheets. For example, you copy this basic information, and only one thing you need to change is view ID. It's here. So you can go to Query Explorer. In Query Explorer, you can determine account property and view you need, and simply copy this ID to your report. Paste it manually, or if you need another one, you can choose another one and paste it here. So after that, you also go to Add-ons, Google Analytics, and Run Reports. And if all settings you do correctly, you see the green color. And as we have demo account, we have not enough data to build it, but you can see the method with the help of which you can build such beautiful report. So by the way, also you need to specify different names for this report, for these different reports, because it's required by this add-on. Then you can, for example, after you're requesting this information, you can combine it on separate Google Sheets. So you see that for reports completed successfully, you can go on each of it, and on another Google sheet, you can combine information from all these tabs. So it's very helpful tool for Google Analytics users. Let's move on and talk about some use cases from our company that maybe help you to improve some tasks on your company. First of all, we use Google Analytics API to monitoring the number of hits on the projects, dividing by property or by hit type. What does it mean? We use Google Analytics spreadsheets add-on to export data about hits from Google Analytics accounts. And for each project, we have document that contains all hits from all its accounts. And if we know that every day this document have a new information, it updates. I now will show you how it can be done. So in Google Sheets, you go to add-ons to Google Analytics and click Schedule Reports. Here you can enable reports to run automatically. So for example, you need to update information every day. So you just update information every day between some time. Or if you want to update this information every week, you can choose necessary day of the week. For example, every Wednesday, these reports will be running automatically. So it's also helpful thing in some cases. And after we create this automatic running for our reports, we also create app script for each document like this. And if hit volume for some project reaching the limit, we send email email to the project recipients. And our colleagues know that it's dangerous situation, and you can reach the limit for The next helpful use case, we use real-time API to monitoring our websites errors like GS errors, form submission errors, 404 errors, server errors, and search with null results. What does it mean? When we have one of these errors, we send in real time we send information to our Slack channel or our Gmail, and we know that we have some problem and we need to resolve it. Also, we're going beyond the interface limitations in Google Analytics reports. As I already told you, Google Analytics have some limitation in combining metrics and dimensions. You can see it in Dimensions and Metrics Explorer. When you click some metrics, you can't combine it with another metrics. But with the help of Google Sheets add-on, you can request in different report information you need, and then combine these metrics in one Google Sheet. So it's also very useful. With the help of Google Sheets add-on, you also can visualize custom panels, and going beyond the limitation of custom funnels functionality, for example, in Google Analytics 360 interface. As you know, Google Analytics 360 have such tool like custom funnel, but and with the help of this tool, you can create 5-step of custom funnel, and can specify it any way you want, but you can't combine page use and events in this tool. But if you use Google Sheets add-on, you can export Google Analytics data about events and page use on the different Google Sheets in different reports, and then you also can combine it and visualize in the way you want. You can also use Management API to automatically add annotations to Google Analytics upon each public update. What does it mean? If when developers add some new functionality on your site, you can set automatic adding of annotation to Google Analytics, and you don't need to go to interface to add it. Also, you can review all existing filters in your Google Analytics use with the help of Management API. So if you're a big agency or a company with a big amount of Google Analytics account, it's better to create some simple app where you can manage all these accounts and all these views, and it helps you to quickly add change to your views. And also one important example, you can export unsampled data from Google Analytics by set by set. For example, if you are not a Google Analytics 360 client, but you want to work with unsampled information, you can export Google Analytics data with the help of spreadsheets add-on with a little period of time. So then you can combine these sets of data and work on third party with unsampled data. So you also should know that Google Analytics API have some limitations. For example, in Google with the help of Google Spreadsheets add-on, you can't export more than 10,000 rows. So you should know this limit to work with this to work with Google Analytics data. But also you should know that there are some tools that helps you to go beyond this limitation. For example, OWOX has such tool like OWOX BI pipeline, and we export Google Analytics data from Google Analytics to BigQuery. It almost streamed in real time. So every day you have unsampled information from your Google Analytics account. Here you can see the links to all APIs limitation, and then you can learn more about each of these. So that's all I want to tell you about Google Analytics API. If you have some question, you can email us on mail@owox.com, and we will answer any of your questions on your email. So thank you for attention. Bye, and hope we will see you on our next webinars.